This movie takes place during India's election season. So India has the biggest elections in the world. There are actually 900 million people who are registered to vote in the national election. So it's every 5 years, and it takes 2 months because the country is so big. The actual process of voting takes 2 months. The election machinery moves across the country. And the film follows these elections. It goes from place to place in India. It's a road movie. So in each place, I have different encounters. The film is from my perspective, different encounters with friends and family, and we see India through their eyes. So that is the basic structure of the film. And I would say there's very few films that show what it's like to be Indian, what it's like that makes you feel what it's like to be Indian. And this film really does bring that down to earth, because India is often so mysterious and exotic, but here we show everyday lives in a funny way and also in a serious way, and I think that people will enjoy that. Yeah, this is actually a good moment for Indian documentary. There's a lot, All That Breathes. This is famous movie that's also showing here. It was at the Oscars. I say we as, but India won the short film Oscar for documentary also just now. So it's a good moment for Indian documentary. And but it's also challenging because these filmmakers are trying to talk about the political change that's happening in India, been happening for the last several years, which is this shift towards far right politics. In not only it's not only happening at the political level, but in society in general, as it is in Europe as well. But let's say in India, it's more heavy and more prone to violence and things like that, which is not the case here. And so the filmmakers are also, Indian filmmakers are trying to address these problems, but it is at the same time tricky because it's not easy to talk about it in a way that makes it seem like you are objective, or in a way that makes the government okay with it. But I mean, we try to do that in this film by showing, but not by pointing fingers at who's responsible for the current situation, but by seeing what common people think, and showing different perspectives, and trying to find ways to also laugh at the situation, which is not easy. Well, it's not Europe where you can talk about anything, or America. It's it's different. There are constraints and limitations on what you're allowed to say and not say. Yeah, so the film is very subjective. It's very much through the perspective of myself and my family. So it really shows India through this micro perspective, and at the same time, it's a movie through the whole country. So I think it's a unique opportunity to really experience the country and understand also these complex things that most Europeans have heard about, but they don't really know, caste and about Indian politics and elections and stuff like that. But to really digest how that functions, and what holds the society together, because it's a very diverse society and very unequal society that is sort of clinging together right now in some way, and also falling apart in some way. And I feel like the film transmits that. We had just one Q&A in Romania, but people were very positive about it, and they had a lot of questions, and they were quite well informed about the situation. And in Romania, I would say that people are more closer to this. The film also talks about the general corruption in the system, which has been there in India for quite some time, which I think Romanians understand a little better. That things don't quite function as they are supposed to on paper. That and so. Yeah, so the film concentrates on the perspective of one family, one upper class family, my family, then they like to, play golf and play bridge and, enjoy themselves, let's say, not bother too much with what's going on in the rest of the country. And so in this sense, it really does have to do with the theme of the festival. The privileged sections of society, probably everywhere, they are just, no matter what is going on, they are okay with it, I would say, because if someone is in a comfortable state, they don't have an incentive to risk that comfort or speak out against what's going on or anger their friends and so on. The privileged people and the underprivileged who work for them, who clean their apartments or drive their cars, and it is these two layers the film explores about how they interact and how different their perspectives are on Indian politics. Whereas the privileged people have a good life and nothing to complain about. They don't really comment on Indian politics. They just stay out of it. Whereas the underprivileged people have a lot to say and a lot to argue about and a lot to express, but their opinion is not so important. So there's two groups: one who have a lot to say but no voice, and another group that has a voice but choose not really to speak. So the film is about these two layers of society and how they constantly interact in India, because it's a very unequal society, and yet they don't quite understand each other. That's a very difficult question. I don't know what a good life is, and maybe I will find out, while I'm still alive, hopefully.